Welcome back to Masons and Their Music, companions. It's the month of October, and this month we have a story of the most beautiful, most popular hymn in Christendom. And it was written by a master mason who improbably got to grace by the most unusual way. And I would like to dedicate this to Lady Barbara, the First Lady of Royal Archmasons in Virginia. Her grandmother's name was Grace, and it is her favorite hymn. John Newton was the son of a merchant marine. He was about a teenager when he was headed off to university, his father having saved aside money so that he wouldn't have to become a sailor. And he was captured by British troops and impressed into the British Navy. He didn't want to go. He was a terrible sailor, so much so that the captain of the ship had him tied to the mainsail and whipped. In later notes, Newton shared that he went back and forth between two thoughts: one, to commit suicide; two, to murder the captain in his bed. Fortunately for us in music and masonry, he did neither of those things. But eventually the captain's patience wore thin, and he put him on the east coast of Africa in the care of a woman who was running a slave plantation, and said, "You can get home from here or go to hell. I care not which direction you follow." And so the mistress of the plantation put him in charge of getting slaves onto ships when they were picked up by Dutch traders. And eventually he became a captain of one of her ships. He made so much money, he bought his own ship. And as the years went on, he had enough money, he had a fleet of ships. One night when he was headed back to England, going through the Irish Sea, a terrible storm came up and the ship began to take on water, more than the bilge pumps could manage. And everyone thought they were going to die. A keg of rum fell from its place and pretty nearly plugged the hole, so that the water intake slowed down enough that the pumps could handle it and the ship limped into harbor. That was an epiphany for John Newton. He believed that the hand of providence had been cast over that ship and over the souls on it. He sold all of his holdings in slavery and in his ships, and he dedicated his fortune and the rest of his life to abolition. He became a friend of the Prime Minister, helped to advance the cause of abolition. In 1808, the year that John Newton died, Parliament voted to no longer allow the importation of slaves into British property. It would be 2 decades later before they outlawed slavery as an institution. But it was a very prolific year for Newton because it was the year he wrote this hymn, a hymn that tells the story of his saving, because as he says in one of the verses, "Grace that saved even a wretch like me." So for Lady Barbara, here is John Newton's Amazing Grace. And that's the story of the most popular hymn in Christendom and a version of it that you probably won't find in a hymnal. And a lesson came out of that. You saw me fiddling for a piece of music, and sometimes it pays to know what's on the next page so you don't panic. And we hope you don't panic and continue to believe that we will come out on the other side. So until next month, when we're going to hear about Masons and their movies, stay healthy.